Well. Welcome.
Welcome.
Once again, happy
Happy
Friday
Friday. Happy Friday.
to all of our subscribers, our listeners, our faithful supporters. We appreciate y'all. Happy Friday to you, and you. Happy
Yeah.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Listen, it's me, Pastor B, and that's her, Bishop BK Webb.
Yes.
Welcome to Ensight Podcast, where we try to shed light on dark places. And it's always exciting to come to you with these topics, and just to kind of delve into things and give different perspectives, and create awareness and things like that. And that's what we're gonna do today. We got a very, very, piping hot topic for you today.
Yes.
It's piping hot. And I am sure just by speaking with different people this past week, and just gauging the temperature in the room, so to speak, I'm sure that many of you have an opinion, have something to say, so on and so forth about this topic. So we're gonna jump into it today, but I'm gonna yield over to Bishop on this Friday. Bishop, God bless you this Friday afternoon.
God bless you, Pastor B, and to all our viewers, our friends that watch us weekly and support us. Thank God for you. Amen. It's happy Friday to you. And Pastor B, this is a special Friday because next Friday, it is, guess what? It is Good Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday, it is Good Friday, and this Sunday coming up, Palm Sunday. We're already at Easter, Pastor B. Can you believe it?
I'm saying, where's the time
Where
going?
is the time going? Before you know it, God knows we're going to be in 2024.
Yes.
The time is just flying by so swiftly. And so, as Pastor B said, we have a hot topic for you today. Next Friday, we're going to bring you something special, a special topic, Pastor B, and us dealing with Good Friday and why we even call it Good Friday and why we should celebrate Good Friday. What can be good about somebody getting crucified, people say. So we'll say that for next week. We'll say that for next week. But we got a hot topic, Pastor B, and we want to invite you to tag, to share, to like, to comment. As we're going along in our dialogue here on Ensight Podcast, we're trying to bring, as Pastor B said, raising awareness, have topics that we want to discuss, talk about some of the dark subjects, things that people don't really want to tackle or talk about, but there's things that need to be discussed. You need to have dialogue about it. Even Pastor B, if it's just to raise awareness. And so we're excited of the opportunity to come before you today in our Ensight Podcast.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, Bishop. And like you said, this is a hot topic. And we want you to engage. We want you to engage. So feel free to comment, like, share, get other people engaged into this conversation that we're having. Let us know how you feel about this subject. So let's get into it. Listen, the hot topic for this week, we're going to talk today about gun violence, and in particular, child safety with gun violence. And this is such a smoking hot topic. We know this past week, the situation that happened down in, I believe it was in Nashville.
Yes, Nashville, Tennessee.
And just devastating, just a devastating, tragic situation that happened this week down there in Nashville. More victims of gun violence, and more often, Bishop, we are starting to hear these stories more often where children are involved.
Yes.
Now, I believe it was maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. There was a story, I believe it was out of Florida. I had to look that up. I believe it was out of Florida, where I believe it was like a 3-year-old or 2 or 3-year-old shot the brother or the sister that was 4 years old or something, got a hold of a gun, um, in the parents' home, things like that. That I mean,
Yes.
that's what's called. That's what gun violence is. That's the umbrella of gun violence. And
Yes.
in particular, talking about child safety. So,
Yes.
guns being used by children,
Mm-hmm.
guns being used by adults against children, or
Yes.
used by children against other children.
Yes.
Um, all of those things is what we want to discuss and get into. But Bishop, I want to open this up and just kind of speak to the tragedy that happens. My heart goes out to those families, those loved ones from the Christian school down there in Nashville. Heart goes out to them and praying for those families and those victims' families. It's just devastating. It's just
Yes.
devastating. And you think about, way back to Columbine days, and you think back to Sandy Hook, and these schools that have suffered these types of tragedies. And again, we a few weeks back we had a smoking hot topic, victim or vigilante,
Yeah.
and that was involving a young man.
Yeah.
I believe he was about maybe 13 years old.
Yeah.
So again, gun violence and child safety.
Yes.
I mean, it's just it's heartbreaking, Bishop. It's
Yes.
heartbreaking. And when you think about it, what the Uvalde. That's what I'm trying to think about.
Uvalde. Yeah.
Uvalde.
Yeah.
When you think about stuff like that, when children are involved, anybody that's killed, is tragic.
Yes.
But it just hits different when it's a child.
It hits different, Pastor B. And I was just looking at some statistics that I just thought was alarming, Pastor B. The incident you're referencing, that was a Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee, that
Right,
was connected to the church there. I think the school was the Covenant School, and the church was the
right,
Presbyterian church there.
right.
And they said that the shooter was a former student. She was a former student. And what made it so unusual was that the shooter was a woman. And that's how
Yes,
unusual, because usually with mass shootings,
yes,
statistically, we're told that it's generally a male. Women
yes,
only make up 5% of the mass shooters.
yes,
And
yes.
so we don't know what it is. But Pastor B, I want you to listen to this. Now, some
Hmm.
of this stuff, I said, well, I must have missed it.
Hmm.
And I'm just, Pastor B, looking at March 2023, because we're in March. I'm not going to even go back
Hmm.
to, I'm not going to go back to the beginning of the year.
Hmm.
But when I looked at March, Pastor B, and I looked at the incidents of the shooting and
Hmm.
mass shootings, because they say a mass shooting is identified if we're 4 or more people
Right,
shot
right,
and killed, or
right.
4 or more. And so as I was looking at, these incidents that has happened, one of the ones, Pastor, there's other incidents that happened in March, but the first one where 3 or 2 people were killed. So I'm not going to even deal with those, but I want you to hear this. When I read a couple of these, and I said, well, I guess I must have missed these. I didn't see these, right? Because when you look at it, Pastor B, in March alone, they have 5 people that were killed, and I must have missed this, March 10th, 2023 in Florida. I'm reading the statistic to you.
Uh-huh.
Northwest 87 Court in Hialeah, Florida.
Uh-huh.
So I believe, Pastor Reed, with this one, you had a woman killed, a man killed. These were adults. These
Uh-huh.
were adults. So they have it with when you're talking about gun violence.
Uh-huh.
But when you're talking about children, like
Hmm.
our recent incident, Pastor B,
Hmm.
Birmingham, Alabama. In Birmingham, Alabama, this was March 14th. These were adults with the shooting, because these statistics are showing you just the shootings that occur. The statistics that I'm reading, just the shootings that occur, Pastor B. But in our particular case, the case that we're talking about, in this incident, we have a 9-year-old. We have a 3 9-year-olds. I'm sorry. 61-year-old, 60-year-old, 61. So you got 3 adults and 3 kids. And the shooter, 28 years old.
Wow.
There you have 3 generations represented, right?
Wow.
You got 6-year-olds, 61-year-olds, and 28 years old. So you got these various generations represented. Where does the divide take place? Why would you go in at 28 and shoot innocent children who don't know anything about anything?
Right.
Not even from your generation.
Yes.
So it makes you think, what is going on in the minds of people?
Yes.
That you want to go in and shoot kids who are 6.
Yes.
They're 6 years old. They're 6 years old. You go in and you shoot these kids. Pastor, we're not talking about the murder-suicide cases already in America this year. We're not talking about them where people have gone and killed the children and the wife or killed the spouse.
Right.
Why would you want to go in and kill these innocent children?
Yes.
6 years old, who's not from your generation, don't know why you mad, wasn't born when you got mad, and whatever happened to you, and you just go in and you kill them.
Yes.
So it makes you think, Pastor B, how are we going to keep our children safe?
Yes.
How can we? I mean, because they're uncovered. You feel like parents, you send your children to school.
Right.
3 people this week that went to work, they lost their lives.
Yeah.
But what would make you shoot a 6-year-old kid, Pastor B, if you 28?
Okay, yeah, and Bishop, and it was premeditated too. I mean, from what they believe, the investigation led them to believe that it was basically, it was premeditated, because she mapped it out. She had, she had plans and everything. So exactly. I mean, what in God's name would possess you, to go kill 8, 9-year-old children?
8, 9-year-old children. What would possess you to do that?
That is just insane to me.
It's insane, Pastor B. And Sumter, South Carolina, March 21st. I missed this last week. Pastor B, you got a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, 11-year-old was killed, I guess, by the father.
Wow.
Because he goes in and kills the mother's current boyfriend and kill all his children.
I did vaguely hear about that. I vaguely heard about that. I did vaguely hear about that. I mean, it's
5, 6, 11. So how are we going to protect these children? You're not protected from your father, because your father must be mad with your mother. You 5, 6, and 11, he come in, he's just going to kill you. I mean, if you're mad with the boyfriend, and certainly we don't advocate killing anyone.
Yeah.
But why you going there and kill them children? Just like that case this week. So we got that case last week. We got this case this week. Why you going there and kill these 5 and 6-year-old babies? Pastor B, 5 and 6. Of course, my grandson is 5. They just starting school.
Yes. Just starting their life. Yeah.
And this is the sad part, Pastor B. They're being slaughtered, our children, by adults that they look to for safety. A kid don't go to school and expect your teacher, somebody look like your teacher, to come in here and shoot you.
Exactly. See that, Bishop, that is a key point. What you're saying now. A key point is how the enemy comes in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
That is a key point. And a couple of points that I want to raise here this afternoon, on this Friday afternoon, but a couple points I want to raise here, that is one key point in talking about how do you protect your child? How do we protect our children? How do we teach them to defend themselves in that type of situation?
Well, how can they, Pastor B, unless they're supposed to walk around with bulletproof vests on? I mean, because at this point, are we protecting them from the guns or the people that can get the guns? While we're sitting
Right.
up there in legislature,
Yeah.
fussing, arguing over should people be able to carry weapons? Because how can Pastor B, a 5-year-old, really protect themselves from a gun?
And that's what Bishop, excuse me, that's what that's the key point that I want to raise.
Okay.
How do you teach your child, right?
Okay.
Because on one hand they're a child, so you know you don't want to force feed the child. You know, you don't want to give them too much at one time. But because of the era, because of the time that we live in, you know, because of the things that we're encountering, you know, it literally, as a parent, I feel it forces you sometimes to deal with certain issues before you want to.
Right.
You know,
but
so in regards to the gun safety, I mean, gun violence and child safety. Now, for example, and I saw this on social media, maybe within the last week or so. I believe it was somewhere, maybe in Alabama or Georgia, somewhere where they were showing it's some sort of device, like a mechanism, where in the classroom, where the teacher pulls out like a bulletproof wall, and so it's some sort of mechanism. I mean, it was brilliant. Whoever came up with this, whoever invented this, it was brilliant. So it literally just looks like the wall, but in the case of an emergency, such as something with gun violence, like literally they can go to the wall, and it just looks like, you know, just looks like a closet door, but it's basically like a whole half a wall, and you pull the mechanism, and it becomes like an enclosure, right? It becomes like, well, it encloses the classroom, but the whole piece of the, so when you pull it, and then it locks in place, and the whole entire thing is bulletproof.
I got you.
So now
it's a shield for them that blocks bullets.
Right. So now they can come to the door. They can come to the door and shoot all they want, but they can't get into the classroom, because this thing has now, it's bulletproof. It has now shielded the entryway to the classroom, right?
But what do you do if somebody walk in, Pastor B, and your classroom is their first target? You don't even know they're going to start shooting until they come in your classroom.
Of course. But what I'm saying is, it forces you, even like I'm saying, I think it was Georgia or Alabama, one of those southern states. And this is an elementary school,
right?
It's for, I mean, you know, your child is 5 or 6 or 7 years old. I mean, why are you forced to talk to them about guns and things like, you know, you don't even want them to have that on their mind.
That's right.
You know, but when you talk about how you protect them, you know, unfortunately, like you're saying, there's some situations where, you know, there's just no recourse. You know, you're just in it. But you're literally forced to educate your children now.
Yes.
At a very early age.
Yes, you are.
You know, on how to respond to these types of things. I mean, we've even had it in the churches, because of the things that have happened in churches with people being killed, even in churches. The churches have been forced now to have these trainings, you know, what to do if this was to happen. You know, this is what you do, even if you have children. This is what to do with your children. So you're forcing
active shooters.
You're forcing the issue. So in terms of how do we protect our children, I think part of how we protect them is to communicate.
You have to communicate. I mean, because you're saying a lot, like you referenced last year in Uvalde. There in Uvalde, they killed 19 children and 2 adults. Open fire in their elementary school. And this is my thing, Pastor. I mean, we don't know what's in anyone's head. well, why y'all keep going to these elementary schools and killing these children? Why? I mean,
Yes.
who made you
Yes.
mad? What you
Yes.
definitely needed some treatment
Yeah.
because these babies are almost like babies in the womb that are innocent. They haven't lived to do
They haven't
anything.
even lived. They haven't even lived. They
Why are
haven't
you
even
going
lived.
in? And I'm not saying by no means am I implicating if you're going to junior high school or high school. What I'm saying that sometimes in a high school, because you've had more life experience, you come through a period, maybe you've been bullied, you've gone through teen pressure, peer pressure, and all that. Certain things will go on in your mind.
Right.
But a baby, 5, who just started school,
Right.
what did they do to you? How could they have made you feel inept, insecure, or a lot of the things or reasonings that people may give other than voices going on in their head telling
Right.
them to do it because people are really mentally ill.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
going in these elementary schools, you kill all those. And I was looking, Pastor B, and in 2021, I'm looking at this at Oxford High School, where someone in Oxford, Michigan, killed 5 students there. That
Yeah.
was 2021. But in that, Pastor B, and I want to talk about this when we talk about child safety, because in that case, at the Oxford High School in Michigan, they said they failed to secure a gun
Mm-hmm.
and they ignored the mental health needs of their son. What I was just saying. So a
Wow.
lot of them, they got mental health issues,
Yeah.
so it's a snowball effect. Because if your parents don't have the money to get you treated, you don't have the insurance, even people that have insurance, mental health, now we're becoming more robust and being
Right.
more proactive, but people, okay, you put somebody and say, well, we can keep them for 7 days and we can't do
Right.
it against their will and all this stuff,
Right.
all these rules we made, and people walk around here mentally ill and improperly treated, Pastor B, they get a gun. It's everybody in their sight line could be a target.
Absolutely. And again, that's why I'm going back to that communication piece. It's communicating, educating.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, even with the mental health piece,
Yeah.
we have to open up those lines of communication.
We have to.
You
And
have
we
to
have
open
to
up those
have
lines.
parents to be, you got to, they were saying, Pastor B, up to date this year, I read early in the week, that these mass shootings in school since the Columbine you reference have killed 175 people.
Wow. And it's just, I mean, it's so sad, Bishop. And mass shootings, that's a whole nother topic that we're going to get into eventually as well. But all of these mass shootings, I mean,
Right. So
it's
how we go?
overwhelming. It's
It's
overwhelming.
overwhelming.
It's
It's
overwhelming.
overwhelming,
That's the
Pastor.
only word for
And
it.
the
It's just,
pain, that
yeah,
the
it's
parents,
overwhelming.
as I was reading this week, because I looked at this list they had compiled and all these people that got killed, and even the 17 that got killed at a high school in Parkland, Florida. Remember that? The
Yep.
Parkland, Florida thing. That was in 2018.
Yep.
And they were saying that person that did the killing, now they still living. That person that did the killing, they got life without parole. But you go in there and you kill all these people. You kill 17 people and you still living.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
It's sad.
again, our topic today for all of our listeners, our hot topic today, we're talking about gun violence and child safety.
Yes.
And
How are we gonna keep them safe? How are we gonna keep them safe?
how are we going to keep our children safe? Those lines of communication have to be open. Like Bishop is saying, if it's a mental health problem, issue,
Right.
crises, you got to communicate that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many situations, Bishop, that happen, and you hear the family members talking after the fact saying, well, they've always had a mental health struggle. Well, did you open up the lines of communication? Did you educate the people around your loved one or your family that, hey, you know what, they got some mental health struggles?
And
They'll
especially if they in the school, Pastor B, they always want to bring out these child psychologists after these shootings happen.
Exactly.
We're here, you can talk to us. No, Identify your problem students. Could that be one way, Pastor B? We could try to keep them safe. Identify your problem students. Identify the students who are exhibiting mental health issues. You're a mental health professional. You know how to notice them. You know how to diagnose them. Okay. Yes. So identify them. Keep your eye on them. Yes. Instead of going out here and picking on kids that haven't done anything. And it's a problem because, Pastor B, my thing with this incident early in the week, they say the young lady, which, you know, I remember President Obama was trying to pass the gun bill. They fought him so vehemently. It was sad. Yeah. Because as he said, I'm not saying people don't have a right to arm themselves. I'm saying people don't need assault rifles.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because they said
you don't need that type of weapon.
Right. Because this young lady early in the week, Pastor B, they said she had 2. So my thing is, where does she get 2 assault rifles from?
Yeah.
What? And y'all didn't notice when this girl walked in this building that she has 2 assault rifles. So could one way we also help Pastor B is, and I know in inner cities, because, you know, they paint these kids as being terrible. But as we see, even with this incident early in the week, this is a Christian school.
Right.
This is a Christian school.
Completely different environment.
It's in a wealthy neighborhood. They're not impoverished.
Yeah.
You know, as we want to put all these identifiers on these kids and saying, well, you know, when they're more impoverished and of course violence is more prevalent, but no, because as a matter of fact, you find that more of the mass shootings don't happen in the impoverished areas.
Very true.
It happens in the areas where people and, you know, middle income people and all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I was trying to flash with a bug. But Pastor B, so when you look at this, do we need to start erecting metal detectors? I mean, the gun detectors and stuff in every school. Anybody enter this building, we don't care who you are. And there's only one way in when you coming in here. You even in employees, if you come in an employee side door, put a detector there.
Right.
Yeah. Because my thing, Pastor B,
and that's something, Bishop. You know, I mean, that's a whole nother topic. That's something that has been debated heavily.
Yeah.
The metal detector.
B, this is my thing, which upsets me. Now, you and me can't just walk in the FBI building. You and me can't just walk in the airport. Okay? Now, if you are going to protect adults or try to as much as you can from people who may try to harm us. So if we got Pastor B, you with me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I hear you.
Okay, yes.
I totally lost you for a minute.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so if this is what bothers me, if I go in a government building, some government buildings you can't get on the parking lot because there are big, heavy gates where the building is. You can't even get on the parking lot.
Right.
So if you all in America, we can let our legislatures sit up there and create laws and make sure they're protected. Make sure you can't come in here with a gun to harm me and all that. Why we can't do that for our children?
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, Bishop. That again, that's what has been heavily debated over the years, and especially as these issues and problems have progressed. You got a lot of folks that are pushing for that. They're pushing for metal detectors, and you know, not just the regulation piece of it, you know, from the legislature, you know, or from Congress and stuff like that, but they're pushing for, you know, those types of statutes and rules to be in place in these school districts, in these local jurisdictions, or statewide, you know, wherever the state they are, that metal detectors are installed. And then you got some people who are fighting against it, you know, who are saying, well, we don't want to subject our children to that. So again, you know, going back to the point I'm saying about sometimes, unfortunately, because of the situation, you have to force feed the child now. You know what I mean? So you have some parents now. If we go back to these parents of some of these kids from these mass shootings, not just the mass shootings, but some of these kids from these other shootings,
who lost their lives to gun violence,
that have lost their lives to gun violence, and all of them are not just on the street. Some of them are in public places or what have you. And you go back and ask them, well, would you be a supporter? Would you advocate, with us to put metal detectors in every fast food restaurant, or in every, local whatever, you know what I mean? And those people that have suffered from that, of course, they would say, most of them would say, sure, absolutely, I would, But then you have other people who don't feel like it's necessary. So you have that battle back and forth, back and forth. And in the meantime, in the interim, we're losing our children.
We're losing our children because how are we going to keep them safe?
Yeah, we're losing our
keep
children.
Them safe. And then you have this thing, a lot of people, even budgetary, when you talk about even on a local level, when you're talking about on a state level, state of Maryland, state of Virginia, DC is not a state, unfortunately. But even in local jurisdictions, we got the police on the street. They trying to control these kids out here and keep them safe. But Pastor B, a lot of them then, they cut budgets so the schools can't hire school safety officers.
Yes.
Because what about if you had, to me, Pastor B, it's like smoke detectors. Mm-hmm. Smoke detectors save lives. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So why we can't create some and have panic buttons and every school got a safety officer or two?
Yeah. Well, so, I think the thing with that, Bishop, I think that a lot of schools do have some sort. Yes, I guess that's what they would call them, some sort of safety officer. But I would presume because I certainly have seen it, like at the high school level where there's more than one on location.
Yeah, because
probably depending upon which city you're in and
right.
and things like that.
Right.
They probably dedicate more officers to it.
Right.
But
then
But
high school students, they're more prone. High school students, like I said, you got your own ideologies. You're dealing with your peer pressures and all kinds of things. You're more prone.
Yeah.
But we have as many safety officers in elementary schools.
Yeah.
Have as many because it's not so much.
I don't know. And I think, I know my son's school at 5 years old, they have a safety officer, but it's just one. It's just one on site. Again, whether you're in school, some of these, the little boy, I think was he 6 years old? I think he was 6 years old. The one that shot his teacher.
That one down in Norfolk somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. Shot his teacher. And again, this goes back to what you were talking about with the mental health and things like that. Obviously, that boy at 6 years old, after the fact, post tragedy, people saying, he had issues and there were signs there and so on and so. Well, why didn't someone open up the lines of communication? Why didn't someone report that to the authorities and say, listen, we got to get this kid some help. He's 6 years old. Something's going on. Something's wrong. This kid is he's having thoughts and, he's voicing thoughts and opinions about stuff that a 6-year-old should not even be thinking about.
Yeah.
Why didn't somebody say that? You know what I mean? Now, thank God he did not kill the lady.
Thank God he didn't kill his teacher.
But again, it's gun violence. And again, it's child safety because number one, it's his safety as a child. He could have even killed himself, trying to handle a weapon, or he could have.
Exactly. Because then that means we got to keep him safe from himself because he could have harmed himself.
Exactly.
And like you said, because this kid, they said, had a history of behavioral issues.
Exactly. So listen, there are a number of things. Again, the mental health piece of it. How do we protect our children? from guns. Bishop said, number one, you have to identify the problem, and that's basically you got to come face to face with that thing. You know, you can't, because Bishop, the number one issue with all of us, just as people in general, the number one issue we have when it comes down to identifying problems is denial.
Yeah.
You know, it's the denial of it. So you have to not deny the problem, but I rather identify the problem. You know, you got to call a spade a spade. You got to call it out for what it is. You know, identify the problem. And then once you identify the problem, then you can take it to the next step. Then you can go further and open up the lines of communication and communicate with a mental health professional, or or the authorities if necessary, or whomever, whether it's even reaching out to another family member, if it's reaching out to someone that's connected to you that has expertise in that area, whether it's reaching out to a counselor, whether it's reaching out to a pastor, a preacher, to someone at the church, whoever it is, whoever that person,
somebody you can confide in, because
or persons, because it takes a village.
Because Pastor B, number two, I would say, don't take threats lightly. Don't take that. See, because Pastor B, a lot of times when these people are doing this, they have said something to somebody.
Yes, absolutely.
Conversation has been off. They have said something to somebody when they're planning something like this.
Yes.
See, a lot of times you can't catch it with suicide, but even when you really go back and look and think about their conversation, a lot of times then you can pinpoint, you know what, that's what they were saying. So we shouldn't take threats lightly. Don't take it like, somebody come on, I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them back. Don't take threats lightly. Because like this case in the beginning of the week, if she was a former student, she's 28.
Yeah.
This is an elementary school, right? So you've been out of school. You've been out of this school.
Yeah.
So this is decades long, at least.
Yeah.
At least. Over a decade.
That you've been dealing with it.
That you've been dealing with this. Somebody have heard some complaint from her down the line somewhere.
Yes.
You didn't just come 15 years later. You know what? I'm going back 13 years later, or 10 years later. You know what? I'm going to the school I used to go to, which, I think they only go past me like 5th grade or something like that. So you didn't come from being 12 to 28, 15, 16 years later and say, I'm going back and pay them back. You said something to somebody, you're angry about something, and people shouldn't take threats lightly. Report you. If you say, you know what, I'm going to get them, and like that kid you referenced there in Virginia, I think it was Newport News, Pastor B.
Yeah, somewhere down there.
That little 6-year-old boy, they said that he did that because the day before, he took the teacher's phone and broke it. Now, how he got to the teacher's phone? Where the teacher's phone was out in the open? Could it have been he thought he wasn't being paid attention to? Whatever the reason was.
Yeah.
So they suspend him for a day for breaking the teacher's phone, and so he come back with a gun. So when you go home, you don't say you got a mind to calculate. That's how you know this kid definitely something is wrong, because you're 6.
Yeah,
that's almost like the makings of a mass murderer.
And Bishop,
because you're 6.
Yeah. Now, I want to get into something else. We're gonna bring Bishop right back. We're gonna take a short break. And we're gonna bring Bishop right back. Well, Bishop, I want to get into something else. I want to get into something else as soon as we come back. We want to talk about reckless parents. Reckless parents, because that boy's 6 years old. How did he have access to a gun at home?
That's another whole story.
Because that was premeditated. He talked about it. It came out. They said that he had talked about having a gun, even to other kids.
Other kids. Like I say, most of the time they've said something to somebody. So and I think in their case, Pastor B, with them, the parents said they usually kept the gun locked or something, and he got to it. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna bring Bishop right back. We're gonna talk about that in a moment. Listen, this is Ensight Podcast. We appreciate you. It's me, Pastor B, and I'm telling you, this is a hot topic today. It's a hot topic today. Gun violence. child safety. I mean, it's a huge, huge, huge issue. We'll be right back. We're gonna have a short commercial break, and we'll be right back. We appreciate you for your support for Ensight Podcast. Listen, it's me, Pastor B. It's me, Pastor B. I'm back in the building. We appreciate you again for all of you tuning in. Welcome to Ensight Podcast. Happy Friday to you. And listen, we got a hot topic. Hot topic. This subject matter here, gun violence, child safety. And we bringing her back in. There she is, Bishop D.K. Webb. Listen, Bishop, we want to talk about, I want you to speak to this, Bishop, these reckless and irresponsible parents. This 6-year-old, so many others, I mean, there's so many other stories of children less than 10 years old, some of them less than 5 years old, that have either, this would have happened. They've either killed themselves or they've killed one of their siblings.
Yeah.
We've even heard of situations where they actually shot and killed the parent.
Yeah. Accidental shootings. Mm-hmm.
Accidental shootings. And a lot of these kids, Bishop, are less than 10 years old. Again, a lot of them less than 5 years old. So reckless parents. Let's talk about that.
Well, Pastor B, and this is not to indict anyone, because certainly we don't know people's situations in their homes. We don't know any of that. But as we preview situations from the outside looking in, I would dare to say, Pastor B, a parent would be considered reckless, even though this 6-year-old kid, now his parents, which you would expect any parent to do after your child shot the teacher, profusely apologized and said that they were responsible parents, and they always were responsible about their gun ownership because it was legally owned. So my thing would be, Pastor B, when you talk about reckless parents, how did your kid know you had a gun? Because then, am I going to call you reckless? That's reckless behavior, that your kid even know you got a gun. That's being reckless, because there's certain things that a kid shouldn't even know you have.
Exactly.
So,
that's my point exactly.
If you go purchase a gun, at some point, this kid had to have seen this gun.
At some point, that's what I'm saying, Bishop. That's what I'm saying. At some point,
he had to have seen this gun. Now we know Newport News, Pastor B. I still got family all along the eastern border, North Carolina, all Virginia, all of that. So I got cousins years ago, moved to Norfolk, married military men. Okay, we know all along that border sometimes you have military families. But even if your child know you're a military, your child might see you put on your clothes and get ready for work. Do you have to strap your gun on before you leave out the house? Do the child really have to see that in their 5 or 6?
But Bishop, even if that's the case, even if you're in law enforcement, you're military.
I'm just trying to give them the benefit.
Right. Even if that's the case, and they may understand, and it's okay for them to understand, who authority, who the authorities are, rather, when it comes to law enforcement or when it comes to military things like that.
Right.
That is fine and good, and it's okay, because guess what? It's a great example for them to look up to.
And it's got to be reckless, though, Pastor B, because if go ahead. No, I was going to say it's got to be reckless in what you asking, because this is my take. If I own a gun and my children are young, I have a gun cabinet that it is no way they can get in it. It's not even a key. I don't want them to find the key. I'm going to have a gun cabinet that's so safely secured. They're never going to be around me when I'm going through that thing to do the combination. None of that. Because you have to stand there and know how to be a professional thief with crack a safe. So it's got to be ready, because at some point your child saw you going in it, your child saw the code, your child saw what you was doing, your child saw you with the key, your child saw you put the key to the side. Whichever way your gun apparatus is formed or however it's made, whether it's lock and key or whether it's lock the safe where you put your combination. So, I mean, it's just like, Pastor, when you think in high school. We had lockers. I don't know what they do now. The kids still have lockers, but we had lockers.
Right.
But if they felt you had some in your locker in school that you're not supposed to have, you know why they could get in your locker? Because they the one gave you the combination.
Yeah.
They the ones gave you the combination. And if you change that combination, no, you're not supposed to change that combination. It's already on paper that they had the right to break into your locker if they think something in there that shouldn't be.
Right.
But if your child, how a 6-year-old get the combination or get the key, Pastor B, and answer to the question you asked me, let's talk about reckless parents. It's got to be reckless behavior.
Yeah.
It's got to be reckless.
Yeah.
If I'm being reckless, I mean, I'm really not paying attention. I'm really not thinking about the consequences of my behavior when I'm being reckless.
And that's what the charge is. You know, the charge is reckless endangerment. You know,
Right.
Because when you're reckless, you endanger the lives of others.
You endanger the lives of others.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, and yes, this child, we feel sorry for this baby. He's 6 years old. When I first heard it, I said, that's the makings of a mass murderer. Okay. This child has some behavioral health issues.
Yeah.
You know, and getting the treatment he needs, they say. But when Pastor B, at 6 years old.
Yeah.
So when we talk about child safety, Pastor B, we have to look at, too, protecting a child from themselves.
Absolutely.
Like in this case.
Absolutely.
Because not only, I mean, if he got a mind to go shoot the teacher, one day he might have a mind to shoot the teacher, everybody else and shoot himself too.
Yeah.
But in line with that, Pastor B, let me say this. And some of our viewers, you can chime in if you want. And Pastor B, some may not agree with me. This is my thought. When I was raising my children, G.I. Joe, fine. But sitting down in front of video and people constantly with guns on the video shooting people, I didn't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely not. I don't even want you to get comfortable and thinking this is a game, putting a gun in your hand and just pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
So we have to look at, Pastor B, the era in which we live, because that's how they learn how to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
They're emulating what they see on video.
Yep.
So we leave these children to sit and watch videos, especially these little children. We leave them to shoot video. I mean, look at videos all day, like videos our babysitter.
Yeah.
We don't watch what they looking at on video.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they start watching videos, you know, they so adept, 3 years old, they watching videos. By the time they get 6, they experts.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So all these videos I seen, people got these guns. All you got to do is aim. All you got to do is do this. Next thing you know, they get the gun, Pastor B, what I'm supposed to do with it. I'm supposed to go shoot people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not realizing at all the consequences of that.
So to me, again, that's reckless, because guess what? As a parent, I'm not going to let a video babysit my child.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let a video babysit my child. By the time your children do homework, do housework, do their chores, then they have some playtime.
Yeah.
But some of these parents, Pastor B, they let the videos babysit their children.
Oh yeah. No question.
And then you say, well, how they learn it? Because to me, Pastor B, and maybe some people may call me old-fashioned, but to me, that's part of child safety. Yes. I'm watching their behavior. I'm watching what they engage in. Excuse me, I'm a little passionate about it.
Yes.
I'm watching it. Because now we want to come and be reactive to everything that happens.
Yes.
Where a lot of times with parents, we're being reckless because we let videos watch our children. Yeah, they know how to shoot a gun. They've been watching guns being shot on a video for the past 5 years.
Yep.
For hours on end.
Yep.
And so when they get a real one in the hand, some of them, Pastor B, when you talking about 5 and 6 years old, okay, I'm playing a game. Because on the videos, this your enemy, and you got to look at your enemy, you got to shoot them. Boom, boom, boom. Now I know about that because, of course, my children are grown. I know my baby, my youngest, he's 40. He likes to watch video. I mean, he plays those games on the video, which a lot of the grown men do. But okay, they grown men. You can't tell grown people what to do. But I can certainly tell a 5 or 6 year old, you're not gonna sit there and keep watching these gun violence videos.
Yeah. So that Bishop, that's key. That's key. And number one, you got to identify the problems. Number two, don't take those threats lightly when they say things. And number three, you have to monitor their behavior daily. You got to monitor their behavior. You can't take no days off with it.
You can't. They go out here and buy these violence videos and the guns, and all they see is the guns shooting. And then by the time they get 6, 7 days, oh, I play this game all the time. Oh, well, okay. Well, I see a gun. Let me do this. I see a gun. I know what to do.
Exactly. And again, that's it just goes back, Bishop, to being reckless and irresponsible.
Exactly.
As a parent, it's your responsibility as a parent to monitor your child. It's your responsibility
It's your responsibility
to identify problems within your child.
It's your responsibility.
The last thing you want, and parents, y'all say this all the time. I know I feel this way. Excuse me. I don't need someone else disciplining my child. I can do it on my own.
That's it.
So it's your child. It's your responsibility.
It's your child. So you can't be
to recognize and identify issues and problems that can be detrimental to your child's life
and other people's lives.
Other people's lives, and literally your child's life. It can be detrimental to your own life. They could kill you. They could literally
I wanted to look up, Pastor B, the definition. What Oxford defines reckless as without thinking or caring about the consequences of an action. So if I'm a parent, I am reckless because I haven't thought about the consequences of my actions. Of letting my child constantly watch violent videos that involve guns.
Absolutely.
Then it's an issue. It's not like Pastor B back in the day when we were coming along. Westerns were popular. I still love Westerns. I absolutely loved Bonanza. I loved Bonanza. The Cartwrights, I was in love with them. The whole family. Michael Landon as a young boy, I love Bonanza. But the thing is, Pastor B, when you talked about those type of shows, we knew, Westerns, they gonna carry a gun. John Wayne, who didn't love John Wayne?
Right.
But it wasn't that they walked around with the gun and shot it all the time. They pulled their gun out to protect.
Right.
They pulled their gun out to protect their family, protect the community, or to protect others from harm. But that's the difference in how we shifted, Pastor B, because these videos these kids watch, it's all violence.
Yeah. I think Bishop, it really comes down to, there are a number of things that we wouldn't have the time to delve into everything.
No.
But
we're just scratching the surface.
But when we talked about how do we protect our children, from gun violence, identifying problems, not taking things lightly, opening up the lines of communication, educating, whoever necessary, to get help, in other words, you got to put your business out there if necessary. You got to put your business.
That's the key. You said something key right there. That's the insight moment.
Yeah.
When your issues may become a death sentence for somebody else, that's not your business. That's everybody's business.
It's everybody's business. Yeah.
Because I don't want people my business. No, your business is everybody's business. Because guess what? It's gonna be everybody's business when they kill somebody.
Exactly.
So it's not your business. Now you go and get the professional help, seek it out, ask somebody to help, and prayerfully you'll get the help and not be ignored and not have all this bureaucratic tape that says you can't get involved.
Yeah. Listen, we got to take a quick commercial break before we get out of here. We're going to bring Bishop right back. We got to take a quick break before we get out of here. Ensight podcast, hot topic. Y'all see it. Gun violence, child safety. We'll be right back. We appreciate you so much. Happy Friday to you. We'll be right back. Listen, we appreciate you so much. I'm telling you, this has been a hot one today. It's been a hot one today. And we got to bring it to a close here shortly. But I'm telling you, this has been a hot topic today. Bishop, it's a hot topic.
Yes.
Gun violence, child safety. How do we protect our children from guns? I think
we say, Pastor B, we're not a Christian show, but we're Christ-centered. Yeah. And one of the things that you definitely have to do, you got to cover your child in prayer.
Yes, absolutely.
Cover your child in prayer.
Absolutely. And you have to do that. And I think, Bishop,
some of these people, Pastor B, with this incident this week, they might say, well, that didn't even work because that's a Christian school. So most Christian schools, they start the day with prayer.
Yeah.
So you got to do the extra layer. Cover your child in prayer. Even if they go to Christian school. That was a Christian school this week, Pastor B.
Yeah, it was. I think, for me, in closing, I would say, you got to get involved.
Get involved.
You got to get involved. Too often people sit back and, like I said, oh, it's not my business, or I don't want to get anybody in my business, or, like you said, Bishop, taking stuff lightly, or it's okay. No, you got to get involved.
Yeah, because your business is my business. When your business could harm me,
you got to be involved.
Is my business.
You can't. When it comes down to our children, we can't take a step back.
No,
we got to get involved. We have to inject ourselves into the situation.
Absolutely.
We have to be involved.
Absolutely.
Like you said, certainly you want to pray over your children and cover them in prayer.
Yeah.
By all means, but you also have to understand that we are in this world. Just because we're not of this world, we are in this world.
You gotta be practical, Pastor B.
You gotta be practical.
You have
to be practical. You gotta use common sense.
Common sense.
You gotta educate your children. You gotta identify problems and even understanding, Bishop, your surroundings and where you are and things like that. All of that comes into place. So I'm gonna yield to you, Bishop. We only got about 90 seconds left in closing, and I'm gonna yield to you. But listen, folks, get involved. Get involved.
Get involved, Pastor B. I mean, I'm with you.
We have to be responsible for our own children. Get involved. Bishop, I yield to you in closing.
We do, Pastor B. I mean, I'm with you. That's in our last 90 seconds. That's what we're saying. Gun violence and keeping our children safe. How do we do it? We got to identify the problems in our own children as well as sometimes other children. You taking your child to school, watch their surroundings. Don't just drop your child and don't never go. Because Pastor B, I always volunteered the PTA and everything. Because I want to see the parents too. Because sometimes you got sick parents, you got sick children. So you got to identify the problems. You got to report things. Don't take things lightly. You have to monitor your child behavior and certainly cover your child in prayer. Get involved. Get involved on every side, beloved. Get involved. Let's try to keep our children safe. And I don't care if it's not your child. It's somebody else's child. Your child is traumatized when their friend get killed. Your child is traumatized when they go to school and then they leave school that day and got to go home and hear the teacher got killed and the friends got killed. That's trauma for them.
Yeah.
So get involved. Don't stand back and say, that ain't my problem. It is your problem. It's all of our problem. It's everybody's problem to keep these children safe.
Yeah. We got to do it. We got to do it. So listen, we got to close today, but I'm telling you, this has been a fire hot topic.
Yes.
We're probably gonna have to pick this up in our next podcast.
Yes.
Or
after Good Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, after Good Friday. After Good Friday. We have a special one next week. Good Friday. But listen, y'all enjoy your weekend.
Yes.
Get involved.
Happy
Communicate with
Palm
your children.
Sunday.
Pray over your children. Happy Palm Sunday. God bless you. We appreciate you for your support, for your love. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Guess what, y'all? It's me, Pastor B. That's Sir Bishop BK Webb. We'll see y'all next Friday for the Good Friday.
Yes.
God bless you.
We love you.
We love you. Thank you so much for your support.